This is Dr. Ashley Greer. Dr. Ashley Greer, and I am talking to you today about the fact that it's time to stop settling for mediocrity. Mediocrity in your own life, mediocrity in yourself, mediocrity in others, and mediocrity especially in your finances. It is not serving you to settle in your life in any way, shape, or form. And this is what settling for mediocrity is all about. It's all about essentially saying, well, I guess this is good enough, or that's as good as I can get, or I can't have any more than this. But here's the thing, when we settle for mediocrity, essentially what we're doing is we're saying to the universe, we're putting up a big old sign that this is good enough, this will do, this will satisfy my urges, even if it's, my desires, even if it's not in any way, shape, or form what we actually desire. And so we need to truly stop settling for mediocrity in our life, particularly mediocrity in others, in ourselves, and in our finances. So the way this looks is when we have mediocrity in ourselves, when we're settling for mediocrity in ourselves, what happens is we come up with many, many excuses for why we're not doing the things we know we need to do. Whether that is showing up in our business, doing things like Facebook Lives, or getting together that funnel we know we need to write, sending an email, reaching out to prospective clients, whatever it might be. That's what it might look like in our business when we're settling for mediocrity. When we are in our business, when we are in our lives, when we're settling for mediocrity, what we're doing is we're settling for anything less than absolute abject joy, absolute abject delight in our life. And if we're experiencing anything less than delight and joy and feeling just prized and absolutely ecstatic about our life, then we are settling for mediocrity in our life, and we're looking at ourselves and in our life and in our choices and saying, I guess this is all there is, and I guess this is all I have to look forward to, instead of getting really serious and really honest with ourselves and saying, well, this isn't good enough. What I have right now isn't good enough. It's not making me happy. It's not satisfying me. So what do I need to do differently in order to make my life be this bodacious, overflowing fountain of opportunity and of joy and of pleasure and whatever else that I desire? When we take a good look at ourselves and we stop settling for our own mediocrity in our life, what happens is perhaps we start eating better, we start exercising more, we start connecting with more higher vibe folks, we cut out the folks who are chronic complainers, chronic worriers in our life, and we no longer settle for those people who make us feel bad. We refuse to walk on eggshells to make other people feel okay, or to take care of other people's emotions when they truly need to be taking care of their own damn emotions. It's not your job to take care of their emotions, but that's you settling for the mediocrity in others. When you say, well, if they don't treat me that well, it's okay. Or if they don't follow through with their word to me, that's okay. I'm going to give them another chance. Or if they don't, if they're not standing up for what's right, that's okay, Or I just can't. I was having a discussion recently with a client where, I'm sure we've all had a narcissistic ex. Somebody who has been just an absolute asshat, and we overlook. Sorry, there's mosquitoes out here. We've overlooked our self judgment, our self worth in a lot of ways, our internal dialogue, our intuition, our psychic connection that said something was wrong, and we overlooked it because we thought, no, that's not true. There must be something better. You know what I mean? Like I that can't be right. I'll just come up with many, many excuses for their behavior, many, many reasons why they might be treating me this way, many, many reasons why they might not be available to me, many, many reasons why they're failing me, or they're not following through with their word, or whatever it might be. And we settle for their mediocrity, essentially opening the door for them to come through and continue being mediocre in our lives, and to continue bringing us mediocrity into our lives. And I think Janine is still here. Maybe she's not still here, but you could probably speak to that in terms of relationships and how that affects relationships, Janine, because it's very, very important. And Becky, you love what I was just talking about settling for mediocrity in others, and about how sometimes we overlook our intuition and we make excuses for others about how they're broken, or how they're just they just need another shot. They just need somebody to believe in them. What that is essentially, that's codependent energy. Codependent energy is going to ruin you. It's going to ruin your business. It's going to ruin your relationships. It's going to ruin your finances too. Codependent energy is the kind of thing that happens in your business. Now, when we're talking about settling for mediocrity in your business and in your finances, What codependent energy does is it has you saying to yourself, this person can't afford working with me, without ever having any idea what they can afford. You are adopting mediocre expectations for your clients before ever having any information about what it is they can and can't afford, what it is that's important to them, what it is that really matters to them, what it is that they actually truly will find really important. I'm sure we've all had this where we've gone to sign a client and then they say they can't afford it, and then we feel guilty because, oh, maybe my prices are too high. And then we find out, the next week that they were just, they just went to Hawaii for 2 weeks or something like that. And then we discover that, in fact, us settling for their money issues and internalizing their money issues and making it about us and about feeling guilty and shameful for our standard of charging what our price, charging our prices, charging what our products, our courses, our one-on-one work, whatever it is worth. We internalize what we project onto them as their issues, and we settle for a mediocrity that we project onto them, and we don't end up getting rewarded. All of this goes back, all of it, all of the settling for mediocrity in others, settling for mediocrity in ourselves, settling for mediocrity in our finances, not even allowing ourselves to dream big. All of it has to do with self-worth, period. All of it has to do with self-worth. All of it has to do with whether or not we feel as though we are worth having the most excellent, the most divine, the most beautiful, the most outrageous, the juiciest, the most orgasmic life. Because if we do not feel worthy of those things, we will come up with reasons and excuses why it can maintain itself at a level of mediocrity instead of being this grand, beautiful adventure that life is actually meant to be. Instead of feeling free and connected and feeling, truly joyous and truly open to experience, we will come up with reasons why now isn't a good time. We'll come up with self-sabotaging, subconscious ways in which we stand in our way. Things like, oh, it's not a good time to invest in this program, even though I know it'll change my life, because I'm going to settle for mediocrity of for example, I'm doing a money program right now. I'm going to settle for mediocrity in my money, but I'm not going to admit to myself that I'm going to settle for mediocrity in my money because I really don't feel worthy of making more money or of expanding my money mindset. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in the way of myself. I'm going to subconsciously sabotage us. Our subconscious is basically the underside of the iceberg. It's far more, it's a far greater degree of our mental capacity than our conscious awareness is actually what's going on. And so when our subconscious sabotages us, basically what happens is then all this stuff gets in the way. So suddenly we get an injury, a new bill, some belt goes out on our car. Suddenly we forgot to pay the credit card and we have a bill that's late for our credit card. And I knew I couldn't afford it because now this is happening. And so now my subconscious has come up with a justification for the reasonable excuses for why I'm willing to settle for mediocrity. So how much would your life shift if you just said point blank, right here, right now, I am no longer willing to settle for mediocrity in any way, shape, or form in my life. I am no longer available to it. I'm not available to mediocrity. I'm not available to clients who aren't willing to do the work. I'm not open to people who are more interested in making excuses and coming up with reasons why they can't than coming up with new pathways and opportunities for why they can. I'm no longer open for people who do anything but treat me with respect and with love. I am no longer open for those I have to walk around on eggshells around, whether that is employees, whether that is clients, whether that is partners, whether that is friends. I am no longer open to it. I'm no longer open to drama. I'm no longer open to gossip. I'm no longer open to complaining. I'm no longer open to any of these things. That's determining what you're no longer open to will allow you to establish what your threshold is for bullshit, essentially. When you establish what your threshold is for bullshit, you say, I'm no longer willing to settle for this mediocrity because I have this level of self-worth and I'm no longer willing to go below it and kind of mix below it and find reasons why that's okay. And I raise myself above this level, this standard that I've established for myself, and I won't go below it. And instead, people either need to rise above the standard that I've established, that's established by my self-worth, or they can get the fuck out of my life, of my business, of my environment, whatever it might be. This is how we don't settle for mediocrity in our finances, in our personal relationships, in our business. And so I'm going to end this video with a challenge to you about your finances. Think about how, when you write down what you desire each month, what you want to earn each month, do you write down what you need, or do you write down what you want? Do you actually detail out what you want and how you're going to get there in terms of your products, what it is you're selling, whatever it is you're doing, in terms of your hours at work, in terms of the number of, clients you have to see? Or are you just saying, this is what I have to do in order to get by? When you set yourself up the standards of just getting by, you're settling for mediocrity in your finances. You're not setting yourself up for financial greatness, for wealth, for prosperity. Instead, you're setting yourself up for just barely getting by, for just good enough. So next month, I want you to actually, or this month, it's not too late, you can always do it today, you can always do it now. I want you to actually set yourself up a standard for what is it that life would look like this month in terms of every single freaking finance, in terms of every little stinking expense that I can even contemplate for me to feel really juicy and abundant, and like mediocre isn't even my freaking vocabulary. And go earn it, because you can't earn it until you know what it is you want, until you know what it is you need. That's the way out of mediocrity. Understand your desires, understand yourself, booster up your self-worth, and no longer settle for the bullshit. I just want to look at some of these comments because I've had some here. But fuck all that, I'm done with it. Bye, Felicia, right? Bye, Felicia, for sure. I'm going to commit this time to so-and-so because he needs to feel loved, and I am the only one to show him he was worth it. And your business is on the back burner. How many times have a lot of people done that, They've settled for mediocrity in one area of their life. Like, let's say they have a friend who's really dramatic and is sucking all their energy out of them, and they just feel like they really need me. That's codependent energy. They really need me, and so I'm going to totally be there for them. And meanwhile, your dreams and your desires are on the back burner, going back there to be forgotten about. This person has actually come into your life because you have subconscious beliefs about not being worthy of the business you love, of the financial situation you would adore, of all of that. F that. I love that, Becky. No more. No excuses. Exactly. No excuses. No reasonable reasons. If you want something, it's been put in your divine purview because you can get it. Period. And so if you want something, instead of telling yourself all the reasons you can't have it, how about all the reasons you can? How about expanding your vision from just what is good enough to what would be fan-freaking-tastic? It's a whole shift in the way you operate in the world when you no longer settle for mediocrity anywhere. And that includes with yourself and your own bullshit that you pull on yourself about, like, I'm too tired, or I don't want to do this today. I've done it myself. I have done that myself. I don't want to do it. It's that kind of princess energy that I've talked about a lot. That sense of, like, I don't want to. That's bullshit. That's an excuse. I've done it like I said, I've done it myself. I don't call you guys out on this stuff just because I'm like, I want to make you feel bad. I call you out on this stuff because I've seen it myself. And then I've let it go, and I want you all to let it go, because it's truly a prison. And there is a freaking fire ant in my boob. Owie. Anyway, on that note, telling you all about a fire ant in my boob. That really hurt. I adore you all, and I want to see you all stop settling for less than what you really desire. And I need to go check and see if there's another fire ant in my shirt, because something just bit me on my boob. Fire ants like to bite you on the fleshy parts, so on your boobs and on your butt, and it's a lot of fun. Anyway, we'll talk again soon. Till then, hey girl, good to see you. Bye.